Good morning, and welcome to another um, episode of A Day in the Life. This is Glenn. It's coming to you on Thursday morning. Um, I want to say June the 12th. Oh, the craziness continues. The craziness continues. Trump and his domination politics. Um, Trying to force his will on the American people. You have all of these riots. Um, uh, you know what? Correction is that there weren't riots. You had peaceful protests that were exacerbated by Trump deciding to mobilize the National Guard for peaceful protests. Then, when the peaceful people protesting um, wasn't happy about the National Guard being there for no reason, um, by design, the National Guard ramped it up, started shooting off smoke bangs, um, tear gas, just making it into a chaotic situation. That's when things get dangerous. And this is where the media is supposed to come into play and tell the story in a truthful way, as opposed to putting spins on what's actually happening on the ground. You can literally see what's going on when you're watching it on the TV screen, but the media is not portraying it that way. It starts off as rioters. These are the things that the adjectives: rioters, um, protest out of control because now rioters are throwing rocks. People are throwing rocks from bridges onto police cars and cars coming under the underpass. What precipitated all of that? That should be the question. And the mainstream media, legacy news, these days they're all right wing slanted, and they don't actually tell the story. And that's why it's so disappointing when we deal with the ABCs, the NBCs, CBS's, WNBC, I'm sorry, MSNBC, um, CNN, Fox News. Fox News spins it in a right wing way, and they never tell the truth. They never tell the whole story. They set the narrative. MSNBC and CNN, they tell partial truths, but they never tell the whole truth. And I think that's partly because most of these stations and channels are run by people who are right winged. And when you have that, they're only going to let the left leaning or moderate to left leaning um, shows allow their anchors to talk about whatever it is that needs to be talked about. They sort of they'll silence or censor them. They're only allowed to talk about certain things. which leads to really good reporters and journalists just walking off the job. You know, you're messing with their integrity and how they do news. That's why Joy Reid was let go. Now Rachel Maddow, from what I'm reading this morning, just walked off of MSNBC because she's been fussing about this for months. Lawrence McConnell, just marched out of their conference rooms in a rage because of how things are going. They're not allowing them to tell the truth and to tell the news the way it is. So what the right is doing is actually working for them. Trump is pretty much getting what he wants. He's allowed to lie. He's allowed to break every rule and not listen to anyone who can put checks and keep checks and balances in place. The emolument clause, where he's not supposed to be allowed to gain financially from his position as president of the United States, but he's doing deals right in your face. He's promoting bitcoins. He's promoting all kinds of things where he's just doing it in your face, and you're not. And the frustrating thing is, at the same time, while he's doing all these things, he's also messing with the economy. He's really destroying the structure of how things were run before he came into office. Cuts in Medicaid and Medicare. Still attempting to mess with Social Security. The Supreme Court is allowing him to get into the Social Security logs and rolls to get the information that he wants. And the Republicans, the whole Republican Party in government, you're complicit in anything that goes wrong from this point on, since January to the future. You're on the wrong side of history, and I hope and pray that you get the rue today in a bad way, where it comes back and bites you in the ass at some point. My hope is that the American people do what they should have done in the first place, is not vote him in. And when election time comes again for him, Trump, vote his ass out. And as long as we have situations where the Republican Party is still far right leading with extreme policies and things like that affect the American people in a negative way, should prompt even your staunch Republicans to know that that's not right and not put that kind of person in power again. Then you got RFK. I guess bringing 8 new people in to positions in the CDC. And my question is, what backgrounds do they have? Are they able to handle those types of jobs? We had perfect people in place already who were actually qualified before Trump came into power. Now you got measles outbreaks all over the place. COVID is making a comeback. There's a new strain. We're in perilous times right now, and I hate to say it, but it's just a fact. We're in perilous times right now, and what are we going to do? Then you have the Latinos coming at black people, black women. Where y'all at? Why aren't y'all out here marching with us? Why aren't you out here fighting with us? We've answered that question 1,000 times already. Um, we pushed our fight at the ballot box, and all y'all had to do was do the same. Vote blue. And you didn't. Same thing with white women. All you had to do was vote blue, and you didn't. So don't come at us. There are a few blacks I saw out in some of these riots, or they've become riots in some cases. This was all by design. This was part of the plan. This is why Trump wanted blacks out there, so that he could actually do this type of thing to us. Our people are just so seasoned in stuff like this that we just smelt the rat from the time it started. We knew months ago, don't do it. Keep your asses home. Keep your asses home. We did what we were supposed to do in November. This fight that's being fought is not our fight. The frustrating part is when we're out there, no one really supports us. Sometimes white people come out and help, but not a lot. When we go out to fight, we fight for change for everyone. Everyone who's affected, that's who we fight for. Black people have always done that, and will always continue to do that. But this fight is not ours, so we're going to stay home. And you see what's happening, and we're so glad that we're not out there in force, because this would be a lot worse if it was us. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Just gonna ask our black people to continue to stand down. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. They're gonna keep doing things that they know would normally piss us off to get us out in the street to protest. I mean, it would really have to be something egregious for us to want to get back out there and fight, and it has to be something that affects us. On another note, I see Target is still trying to get black people back to the stores because we're still not shopping there. Their stock is crashing still. Then they want to go in and bring in so-called civil rights leaders to the table to have a conversation as to how to get blacks back to the table. And then they want to spin the narrative that the civil rights leaders call for boycotts of these. No, they didn't. Once we heard that they're taking away the DEI initiatives and all these things that have helped us traditionally since the civil rights movement, we decided on our own to not shop in these places. And I saw videos online for content creators breaking things down, and that also helped me in deciding that I wasn't going to be doing this. I wasn't going to be continuing to shop in these stores. It's just not worth it. But that is all that I have for today. And I just want to thank y'all for listening. And continue to be blessed. Stand fight. Stand down. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Because we're seeing play out what they said that they were going to do. And that's the other thing. All of this stuff was spelled out in Project 2025. The project that Trump swore he knew nothing about, but the minute he won the election, him and the Republicans then suddenly remembered that they do remember this, and this is what's going to get implemented. Through history, white people have cheated, scrapped, and stole their way all the way to the top. There was cheating and election rigging in this past election. Not by the Harris camp, by the Trump camp. But again, media is not covering any of that. He's got the Supreme Court in his back pocket. The Republicans in Congress in his back pocket. So the only things that we can do is continue to hold their feet to the fire, and come term time for these Congress people, and we can vote them out. That's the only thing that can change. And we just got to do some things that are hard left, like we've never done before. When seats are up in Congress, play the same game the Republicans played to level the field, or increase the seat number in Congress so that you can get people in place to level this playing field. I get you want to play by the rules, but damn, sometimes you got to go a little out of the box in order to level the playing field. That Supreme Court has to be leveled. You have to add 3 more seats and try to get Democratic heads in there, because that's going to be big when it comes to certain decisions that need to be made by the Supreme Court. And as you can see, since it's right slanted now, Roe versus Wade has gone by the wayside. They've given this president immunity as long as he's in office. He's got carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants. It's just criminal. But I'm going to end it there. I don't ask the question, can this get worse? Yes, it can, and I think it will before things get better. The only time it's going to get better is if, for some reason, Trump is removed from office early, or when he's done, he has to be voted out. You guys have a wonderfully blessed day. Stand fight. And until the next time, be blessed.